We are back live and we are back to discuss the taming of the shrews. This is the Blue Monday podcast. Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast, discussing Ipswich Town up or down since 2015. I'm Richard Woodward and you're tuned into the Flagship show live, available every Sunday at 8 p.m. and on demand thereafter. Joining me fresh from a trip, local trip for him, Seb Brown, just down the road for him, and fresh from a little excursion away, Joe Fairs, resplendent in the new away shirt, which looks excellent in the flesh and looks excellent on you. How you guys doing? You all right?
Good, yep. Nice little dash back from Norfolk to get back in time for the live show.
That's what we want. Seb, you good?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. Like you say, my home game of the season up here, so a nice, easy one to get to. And cracking day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we'll talk lots more about that. But as we said right at the start, we are live and we want to hear from you. There are a lot of folk in the chat, so thank you for that. Adi, good to see you with us. Thoroughly enjoyed his Shrewsbury away day. Great atmosphere. Evening to Charlie, evening to Tony, evening to Dan, Gary, David, Stubbsy. Hey, what a fab Saturday. Hi, folks. Rodders. Let's see if I can watch whilst walking the dog. Safety first. Brendan, evening to you. What a great time to be a Town fan. We're keeping it on the even keel here. We're not getting too excited. I've
actually just booked an open top bus, Rich.
Joe's got the printing already sorted. That's good. MW. Oh, there you go. Everyone's doing the stuff, so I don't have to. Anthony, I've seen that one as well. Let's keep it even keel, guys. We want to hear from you, though. Get your stuff in the chats. Any observations, any questions, any thoughts from Saturday, anything looking ahead to the week to come. Barnsley, obviously, next weekend as well. So keen to get your thoughts on that. But let's jump straight into it, guys. I mean, Seb, we were there on Saturday. We saw plenty of folk. We were traveling with Mullet, and we saw Geraint, and we saw Matt is writing a book about World Cup 94, which I thoroughly recommend. I'll retweet that later on. Who else did we see? Plenty of people.
There were loads of Southwest guys were in the pub, weren't they? It was loads of Town shirts as we arrived, and great to chat to everyone. Pre-match, had a nice beer with everybody before we head off to the game. It was really, really cracking away day, wasn't it?
Yeah, given the trains and all that fun stuff, logistics, good traveling numbers as always. My first trip to Shrewsbury, so it was. I mean, yeah, it's a standard kind of League One away day. A little bit more used to football than Forest Green, certainly. In terms of what we were discussing pre-match, guys, I mean the lineups gave us a little bit of intrigue. Let me put the teams up for you here. 5 changes from the team that defeated Burton. And Joe, what are you talking about when it comes to these changes here? Anything jump out for you that you want to discuss?
I felt it was too many changes. I've sort of put that out there now. I'll admit that I said that pre-game, so I don't want to
don't question McKenna.
I put that in the chat, but I guess you can, let's say, George Edmondson out, Cameron Burgess in. I think that's purely George Edmondson didn't really have much of a pre-season. He missed a lot of that. He still looks like he's feeling his ankle in some of the games he's played, and the chance to give him effectively a week and a half off is a good thing to take. And also playing 3 games in a week is tough for him. And it was that one there. I think Vincent Young in for Jackson. I think as well as Jackson did on Tuesday night, it's still a more natural. It's not a natural position for him there, is it? And I think we needed him later in the game. But I think the interesting one was Tyrese John-Jules starting up front instead of Freddie Ladapo, seeing himself as a striker. He sort of says he's a striker. So spoiler alert, he played well as a striker, didn't he, yesterday? And while we saw McKenna's quotes, didn't we, last week about we're not necessarily looking for a number 9. We're looking for a certain profile of player that gives us something different. There's the rumoured sort of frustrations that we're getting on the George Hurst search. Or George Hurst hunt, I should say. And maybe it was a good time to have a look at Ladapo there to see whether he can be considered as an option for the number 9 shirt. And we look for a different type of attacking player to play there. And yeah, that was the real interesting one for me there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about you've already alluded to it, so I'm sure folk know what happened yesterday anyway, but we'll talk through it. Ironic, Seb, that Ladapo's worked really hard. Everyone's been raving about his endeavour, but a little bit anxious about him getting on the goal trail. And ironically, John Gill comes in and scores straight away, which sod's law, isn't it?
Yeah, football is about taking your chances, isn't it? He ran himself into the ground against MK on that really, really hot day. Had a couple of chances in midweek where he's through and he puts one wide. It kind of bobbles wide because he can't get it out of his feet. And the other one where the heavy touch lets it run through to the keeper. And yeah, I guess McKenna wants to see what John Jules can do in that kind of role. We've seen him in the more withdrawn role, either out kind of on the left or in the number 10 position. I don't think we've really seen him as an out-and-out kind of striker yet. But he looked really, really good. We'll discuss the game as we go through. But I was really impressed with him and saw stuff that I hadn't seen from him before. And yeah, does it make that striker search slightly less important? And also important that we play him being a Premier League loanee. Arsenal haven't sent him in not to feature, so I guess we've got to give him game time. And if he's taking his chance, the shirt I guess is his now, and we'll see what happens moving forward.
Charlie, he's mentioned KVY. Any thoughts on his inclusion? Obviously, Burns misses out, probably out of caution rather than anything else with his injury history there. Edwards, a possible option there. Jackson even was discussed as well, but Vincent Young gets the nod. Your thoughts on that one?
Well, he's the natural replacement. If you're looking at natural positions, KVY is the natural kind of right wing back in the squad as a reserve. Edwards, we found out at the back end of last year, was training to be the Wes Burns replacement. But like Edmondson, he missed a large chunk of last season. He had a bit of a knock in pre-season and missed a few games, didn't he? So I guess he's playing catch up a little bit with his fitness. So it makes sense to play Vincent Young in that kind of game and that kind of position. It's his natural role, and he deserved to get the run out.
And I don't like to boost your ego much, Seb, but let's talk Shrewsbury. I'll put the teams back up again, and pretty much as you guys called it, isn't it?
Yeah, identical. Yeah, that's not really much in-depth analysis. That just shows that Shrewsbury haven't got the biggest squad in the world.
True.
That was the side that played against.
Yeah?
Unchanged from Tuesday night against Derby. Yeah, they drew 0-0 with Derby on Tuesday night. Didn't make any subs in that game, which explains maybe why they were a bit flat and why they were kind of a bit knackered. But that was the lineup as predicted, and it set out exactly as we thought. We thought they'd be very organised, very compact. We thought the back three would sit, the two midfielders would sit, and we were concerned about breaking them down. But in all honesty, we didn't really have any of those issues in the game.
No, well, let's go into it. Seb, talk us through the kind of match action, because we've kind of talked about KVY there. He's going to get involved straight away from the kickoff, isn't he? Or not the kickoff, but
yeah, 7 minutes in, was it? Yeah, the ref yesterday, I think, was a new low for officiating. He was a late call up, wasn't he? A late replacement.
Was he?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to the actual ref that was appointed, but this guy was a late step in. I saw it on the TWTD match report.
Oh.
But yeah, KVY, he's out on I think Morsey pings the ball across to him. He sticks his leg out and takes a touch, which takes it away from the keeper. And you think, for all the world, he's going to roll the ball home. We're off and running in the first 10 minutes, just like we were against MK Dons. And then Flanagan goes in, and it looks to be the most surefire penalty and red card you will see, because the rules are now that obviously it's a red card if you don't make an attempt to play the ball. He can't make a valid attempt to play the ball because he's coming in from behind. And bizarrely, the ref just kind of, waves play on, and we're all absolutely dumbfounded. Chaplin, I think, was the closest to the ref at the edge of the D, and he was giving him pelters, and it was a new standout in League One officiating. I've seen it back obviously on the highlights and the YouTube channels, and it's a stonewall. It's a penalty and a red card, I presume, because it was so early in the game. it's a big call to make so soon into the game. If it happens in the 76th minute as opposed to the 6th minute, does the ref give it? I don't know, but it was just an absolute. It was a travesty. I don't think I've seen a more nailed on penalty for an awful long time.
I haven't seen it back, but on the Telegram chat, there is talk from a couple of guys on there that on the Town in 5 video that's just been released in the last hour, they show an angle where he does actually get a toe onto the ball, the defender. But I haven't seen that, and I don't know how he's got a toe on the ball without going through.
It goes through him, yeah. I've seen the
so
Town
he's got to have gone
5,
through him effectively. So whatever it is, it's still a penalty. It's still a red card, because you can't make a genuine attempt to win the ball if you've got to go through the player to get there in the first place. But it's one of those ones where it didn't matter because of the rest of the game. But if that's a tighter game and you sort of end up drawing a game or dropping points there, then it's a massive moment in the season. We're just lucky we've got there.
There you go, Joe. A fellow Joe Fairs speaks the truth. On lots of different matters, Joe Fairs speaks the truth. We know that. Here, we're very happy to have Joe's truth bombs being played all over the place. And Joe, do you want to talk to us about 20 odd minutes in? Because we've already bigged him up kind of previously talking about the lineups. firstly, what a great tracking back and interception to win the ball from John Jules, isn't it, in the first place? Talk us through the first goal.
Is it Luke Leahy, the captain, who's sort of taking the ball out, and John Jules just uses that pace and just catches him out, but doesn't just catch him out, wins the ball, knocks him over, gets the ball, and then just starts to pull and just accelerate away from him. And then because the midfielder's been caught out, they're really just sort of a bit flat at the back, and it's Dunkley, isn't it, a player that I think we were linked with a lot last year, and Jules just drops his shoulder and totally sits him down on the deck, doesn't he? And then just passes it into the bottom corner. Like, great tracking back, lovely bit of skill, lovely confidence, just running dead straight with the ball at players, and fear. It just puts fear into defenders, doesn't it? They don't know whether to commit, whether to back off, and he just made it look. He made what was a sort of a nothing chance, really, from when he picks the ball up in the halfway line, turn into a looks like an easy finish, but no, it's really good.
And I guess we probably didn't. I mean, we can all pretend that we know lots about Tyrese John Jules, but I guess most of us thought that we'd get someone with pace and, you know, a little bit of trickery, certainly. But I'm not sure any of us expected maybe these goals. But Nick Hayes was the co-commentator, and he says that John Jules has scored a similar one in pre-season and sat him down on his arse like he did for Dunkley. So, you know, Seb, he's got it in his locker, to use the cliche.
Yeah, and you can tell he's come from a Premier League kind of academy and Premier League training, can't you? His touch and his awareness and his composure to roll the ball home. He had some moments yesterday where you could tell he was really from higher up the food chain, higher up the pyramid, and I thought he did really well. It was a lovely goal. Important that we scored at that time because, you know, we were dominating the play, and as we know, sometimes these games, they do start to drag, you do start to get a little bit edgy, but we were in complete control, weren't we, from pretty much the kickoff, and it was well deserved given how we played that first 20-25 minutes.
And in terms of, I mean, if I was to be overly critical, Seb, it didn't feel to me like we were entirely like ticking, you know, on all cylinders. To me, the wide players, you know, we'll talk about Leif Davis, we've talked about KV White already. It took a while for the Harness Davis partnership to kind of renew itself, having made rotation on Tuesday. But KVY to me got a little bit lost quite a lot of the first half. Didn't really know where to be. Danassian obviously used to Burns overlapping him and even cutting inside from him. And what was your kind of take on the wide positions? Because, yeah, that was my take anyway. Do you agree?
Yeah, those two didn't really get going, Davis and KVY in the first half, did they? We had about 3 or 4 opportunities down that left-hand side where Davis was kind of played in and the ball was just massively overhit, wasn't it? And it would roll out for a Shrewsbury goal kick. So I don't know if Davis wasn't on the same wavelength as the likes of Evans and Burgess that were pinging those balls out there. And on the right, KVY, I mean, Danassian's used to that searing pace, isn't he, of Burns? So he'll play a through ball for Burns to really turn the engines on and bomb past the fullback and get to the byline. There were a few times when KVY didn't really know if he should go or not. He was kind of, you know, on the halfway line, not sure what to do, and we kind of lost that natural output. But apart from that, you know, it was a really good performance. They were knocking the ball around really nicely in midfield. John Jules was making things kind of happen and stick up front. Chaplin was everywhere, wasn't he? He was back to his energetic kind of best, buzzing around all over the pitch.
It's a bit sloppy in the first half, though, wasn't he? I thought Chaplin, but
he gave the ball away a few times, yeah. But the runs he was making were really intelligent. Harness was trying to get into the game a little bit without much success, but it was just a really comfortable performance. I was expecting a lot more from Shrewsbury. I know they weren't going to be as direct as Burton are, but I was kind of expecting them to, you know, be organised and kind of, you know, try and frustrate us and stuff. But they just, from the get-go, there were so many unforced errors where their players were, you know, making simple passes and the ball was going out for throw-ins and stuff, and they just didn't look at it all day, did they?
But how much is that though? Because, you know, watching back on the highlights, and maybe I wasn't conscious of it during the game, we talked about John Jules pressing to make the first goal. We were quite energetic. Harness, I thought, was everywhere. Morsey does his usual job. Evans now as well. You know, we keep talking about how Evans is making that, you know, that central midfield position alongside Morsey his own as well. Part of Shrewsbury not being able to get up and firing was us, wasn't it?
Yeah, but there were unforced errors as well, weren't they? They were doing, you know, they'd have a free kick and it would just simply
Keeper was kicking the ball out a lot, wasn't he?
Yeah, things would sail over our bar and sail out of play and stuff. And I just thought they were I know we were controlling the game and kind of dominating play, and we stepped it up a gear even more in the second half, and we really looked to get the fullbacks involved, especially down the left with Davis. But I just was expecting more from them. I guess the Tuesday night took it out of them. I think Cotterill came out afterwards and said, physically, we just couldn't compete. They're so much better than us with better players, etc. You know, and I guess we just kept them at arm's length for the first 45 minutes, kind of toyed them a little bit, went into the break with our rewards, and we kind of thought, okay, well, if we can get a relatively early goal in the second half, this could be 2-3.
And that's what happens, Joe, doesn't it? And I mentioned Davis. He's got a critical role here, isn't he?
Yeah, nice bit of football again. It's Cameron Burgess, isn't it, who has the ball sort of in a sort of forward position on that left-hand side, and he fires the ball into Harness. Harness just quickly flicks the ball around the corner to Davis, but he doesn't just do that. He then runs off the back of Davis, and there's men running everywhere. You can see why these teams are struggling to defend against us, because there's so much movement off the ball, and so you sort of Harness goes that way, and Davis sort of, rather than go back to him, sort of starts to edge that way, and then just drives inside, pings the ball into Chaplin's feet, and it is a firm pass. It's like, get control of that if you can. And Chaplin, perfect first touch, sweeps it home, and a really good finish as well. It's one of those ones that on the angle, the eye follow angle, it looked like maybe the keeper could get over there a little bit, but when you watch it back from the other angles that the club had tweeted out, really good finish. And I think Chaplin is around that box. He's so dangerous, isn't he? And that's got a few goals like that where it's just one touch, bang, hits it accurately, hits it powerfully, hits it sort of into the corners, and really good goal. Probably are. And another goal from the left-hand side. We're sort of talking about how reliant we were on the right-hand side. It's another goal from the last season. It's another goal from the left-hand side this year. And both the goals against Forest Green came from out that way. Again yesterday, there's goals from out that way as well.
And Nick Hayes was the co-commentator for. He's on. If you watch the iFollow highlights that the club stuck on their YouTube, Nick Hayes is the third choice keeper, is doing the co-coms, and he kind of wonders whether Morosi should get a better hand on this and keep it out. But he also then kind of says, well, Chaplin kind of reversed it on him, and I think Morosi is expecting the ball maybe to go the opposite corner or maybe straight down his throat. And Morosi's obviously wrong-footed at that point, and he gets a hand on it, but it's only keeping it on the post. It's great technique from Chaplin, and we see this, don't we, from him?
It's the touch, like Joe said, that makes it. That first touch sets himself, and then, like Joe said, he around that area, he's so deadly. He's probably the one player you'd want it to fall to, and the placement is superb, right in the corner. The keeper, like you said, maybe gets a hand to it, but he can't keep it out. It's a great finish. Really good, that first touch to set himself. And that's what made the goal. That beautiful first touch. And Greg Davis at that point was tearing them apart, wasn't he? Down that right hand side, down that left hand side, DaCosta couldn't stay with him, and he had 2 or 3 opportunities where he was just breaking at will, and we saw a lot of positive things down that side.
Talk us through the rest of the match action up to the third goal, Seb, because we reflected and was sort of discussing how utterly dominant we were. Shrewsbury, we need to say, had a couple of goes from set pieces, didn't they? But apart from a ball that may be wrong-footed, Walton, very briefly, there is very little work for him to be doing. He's dropped the shoulder on someone, didn't he, chasing in on him as well, which is always fun. A little bit of jeopardy there. But I guess again, I'm here as the Grinch. I'm not chanting about the P word until it's the calendar year 2023, guys. That's just me. So and Kieran McKenna gave a really excellent post-match interview as well, talking about, as good a performance it was, those bits we can improve. And I guess there's not masses and masses of clear-cut chances. It's not as if, whilst we had the lion's share of the chances and the possession, we're not talking about a 5 or a 6-0 here, which conceivably it could be if we'd created maybe more chances. What's your reflection on that? Am I being too critical?
We, like you said, we didn't create that much more, that many more chances. We dominated the play. It was over 500 passes, I think, yesterday, 67% possession. So we just simply kept the ball. And like I said in earlier on, we kept Shrewsbury at arm's length. Really, they didn't threaten. I think their first shot on goal was in the 90-plus minute, wasn't it? That long ranger we all kind of ironically cheered, and we made a few changes, and I guess that broke the rhythm a little bit. Aluko comes on, and Edwards comes on to the number 10 position, and we just kept the ball, kept toying with them, kept passing it around, created a few bits here and there, but it wasn't a game where we're looking back and thinking, we should have scored 4, 5, 6 in that game. We the XG was 1.7, was it 1.8, 1.9 or something? It wasn't, it was below the actual number of goals scored, and we just toyed with them, kept the ball, made a few subs when we needed to get rest people, and it was very, very comfortable.
It's one of those games, though, when you looked at it at half-time, though, and it's 1-0, and it's like you feel like you've let them off the hook a bit, only going in 1-0, and not by creating a lot of chances, but almost, like you say, toying with them, just passing it around, not pushing to try and get that second goal. And it really felt like there's something McKenna's spoken a lot about sort of in the pre-season, like keeping that tempo high and trying to get those second goals, because too many times at the end of the season it was sort of 1-0 and we ended up conceding games like Shrewsbury last year, but it did feel like as soon as they came out after the second half that they'd had a bit of a, not rocket, but sort of a bit of a reminder that you need to get the tempo up and you need to get the second goal ASAP, because otherwise 1-0, it only takes one mistake. It only takes a Sam Morsey who'd already been on a yellow and they were clattering to him, reacting badly to one of those to get sent off, and all of a sudden you're really up against it. And but like I say, you look at the way we just stop other teams creating chances. I know Burton was a bit of an aberration on Tuesday, totally different game, but games against MK Dons, this game, Bolton, there's periods of sort of 50, 60 minutes where the other team doesn't even have a single shot.
Yeah. They're not the top 20 guys mentioned that about MK, didn't they? It was a great start. I think it was 50 minutes between MK having shots on our goal last weekend. And we need to reflect here that I know Burton was maybe a little bit of an outlier, a different type of game. And we've obviously talked about that. If you want to head onto the channel and check out our post-match review of the Burton game and maybe our assessment of that. But we need to remember here, it's 2-3-0 victories out of 3, isn't it? And another clean sheet as well, guys, as well, you know. It's easy to be critical, I guess. And I'm sure McKenna will want more from us. But realistically, we've can't complain too much, can we? And in terms of the timings of the goals, Joe, as you mentioned, we've got in front, probably deserved it on the balance of play, and then just got it total dominance, got the goal after halftime as well. And then Seb said keep them at arm's length. And then Seb, as the clock is ticking down, what I loved about this move as well, and we did this a couple of times during the match, is we didn't panic when they got the ball around their penalty area, and rather than just force an effort, we passed it, didn't we? We went looking for something. There was always movement. There was overlapping. And, Luco's going to get involved in this goal here. But partly it's what Morsey does, I think, in this move that makes me excited for what could come the rest of the season. Talk to us about the third goal.
Yeah, Luco picks up the ball, doesn't he, and just drives at them. And at this point, they're just hanging on. They're just praying for the full-time whistle. He drives at them, finds Morsey. Morsey does really well edge of the box to keep his shot low through a crowd, doesn't he? It's cleared off the line. I'm not sure who the player that cleared it off the line was. And Jackson is there, predatory, and taps it home. Bizarrely,
it hits him, doesn't it? Though, come on.
Well, yeah, but he's in the right place, isn't he? He's there. And
still got to react.
Yeah. Weirdly, they appeal for offside. I don't really know why. They were kind of adamant the guy was offside, but obviously the guy's on the line that's blocked it, so that's irrelevant. And yeah, and after the game, didn't you say we had 7 or 6 players in the box for that chance? Morsey has the shot from the edge of the area, and we've got so many players following up, following in for a rebound or anything. And it was so good to see. It was a really, really well worked ending to the game and a brilliant performance. I know you're saying you're the Grinch, etc., but it's we just need to enjoy this at this moment. Let's be honest, it feels very different from previous starts to campaigns at this level, and that performance yesterday was absolutely superb.
Yeah. Joe, anything to add on top of that? Any observations from that third goal you want to chip him?
Yeah, for the every game this season I've backed Sam Morsey as first goal scorer, last goal scorer, and anytime goal scorer. And just like the Bolton game where he had the big chance right at the end and it cost me about £100. The same happened yesterday. The guy clears it off the line, but good to see Caden Jackson get his first goal of the season and sort of being Johnny on the spot, ready to react, knock the ball into the goal. And you want your strikers and your attacking players scoring goals. I think that nearly other than Ladapo, nearly all of them have scored a goal now, haven't they? John Jules, Chaplin, Harness.
Yeah. Yeah, and if to be fair to Ladapo, if Jackson doesn't get it, Ladapo stood right behind him, isn't it?
And good close to Leif Davis getting another assist as well would have been like Janoy Donashin had last Saturday. We'd have had our other fullback picking up 2 assists this Saturday, and like I say, these fullbacks are playing very high, playing very well, and getting goals on the left-hand side. I noticed someone on the comments talking about winning without Wes Burns. Well, last season, Wes Burns missed 9 games, and in those 9 games, he picked up 5 points. This season, he's missed 2 games, and picked up 6 points in the 2 games that he's missed the season. So more points already than what we did when he was missing last year, and just what we need.
Yep. And do I say this? Yeah, I'm going to say it. Seb, Ladapo missed a really easy chance, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He's running onto it from the left hand. Yeah,
let me rephrase the question. It's the effort. The shot on goal is not as good as it should be. Is kind of my point.
Yeah, he doesn't get any conviction behind the shot, does he? He's running in from the left-hand channel. He kind of opens himself up and side foots it, and it's a tame effort that the keeper kind of collects. I guess if he's scored a couple of goals so far this season, he really puts his foot through that and breaks the back of the net. But it will come. The goal will come for him. He's a bit unlucky that John Jules has kind of got the shirt at the moment. But like you said, if Jackson doesn't have that 90th minute tap in, then Ladapo is going to tap it in. So he was unlucky there. But yeah, he's an option off the bench now, and John Jules has kind of won the shirt.
Do you think? You think that does?
I think John Jules keeps his place for Barnsley. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you think, Joe?
Yeah. No, I'd agree with Seb on that.
Yeah.
I think that.
But sorry,
John Jules. Can you drop him after that performance as a striker? He's come on. He
led the line.
He scored a goal. He's led the line. He was really involved in the build-up. I don't know touches, but I'd imagine he's had more touches in that game than Ladapo's had in the others. And now John Jules should start a couple of games, and Ladapo's got to try and score when he comes off the bench and try and get a go back. But yeah, for me, John Jules starts next week.
Interesting one. I'm interested to get the thoughts for those folk who are watching live on the chat. Let us know whether you start Ladapo or John Jules next Saturday against Barnsley. My reflection on McKenna's post-match interviews was the decision was potentially a tactical one given the opposition, and he expected that John Jules sitting in deeper might get on the ball more. And you didn't need a battering ram type forward like Ladapo to upset their back line. So interesting debate, that one. Obviously,
he also talks about sort of being patient with John Jules and get him into the team, because obviously he signed not late in the window, but late enough that he wasn't there from the very start, and it went all the way through. And I think we've got to remember that Tyrese John Jules is an England under-21 international. He's not an England youth international. He's an under-21 international. When you get to that age, that is a serious level. That's not a 19s, 20s. 21s is the best under-21 players in England that aren't in the main squad. And he's played there. He's had loads of spells where it hasn't quite worked, where he's had good spells on those, but maybe been a bit, not had the durability to play through there. And we've worked through that with him now in sort of getting him ready to go. And no, I think he's a player that could come in and start scoring goals, and then you just can't drop him, can you? If your striker's scoring, you keep him in.
Was that the strategy all along, do you think, from McKenna, is to bring John Jules in? Because he's obviously had an injury for most of the second half.
Yeah, I don't think so, because we wouldn't be going so strongly after George Hurst if the strategy was to play John Jules there. I think George Hurst was there, but maybe there's a few bits you not heard, but it's that one of the reasons maybe that we didn't go as hard for Selena at the end was because John Jules has shown up and really impressed people in training, and he's really given us another option. And I wonder whether that's a reason why McKenna's now potentially looking at a different area of the squad.
It looks like a lot of people are agreeing with you guys, and also accepting my very general point that McKenna would make a tactical decision there. I just wonder. We'll deal with this on the pre-match show, obviously, in the next week when we look ahead to Barnsley, and maybe Seb will continue that debate then. And spoiler alert, the pre-match show will be going out live on Friday night, and it will be available in full on YouTube. I know some folk have missed that show going out in full on YouTube, so it will be this week, and maybe we'll continue that debate there. But certainly get your thoughts in the chat. A lot of folk agreeing with you guys, and yeah, horses for courses kind of thing as well. Whilst we're at it, we are going to go do the roundup in a second and talk through all the rest of the League One action. I'll briefly mention ITFC. We only had a bit of a frustrating afternoon today as well. So do get your questions and comments in. I know that folk have been posting throughout, so we will go back. But if you want to get a question into the guys, if you want to give your perspective on anything that happened over the weekend or what's coming up this week, ideally ITFC related, obviously, that would be great. And also, if you're watching live on YouTube, do give us a thumbs up. It helps nudge us up the algorithm. And if folk are scrolling through their YouTube feed, it might recommend them, and they can get involved as well. So please do that for us. We'd really appreciate that as well. Worth noting, I do have to put this comment up to see the reaction from you guys. BCS, start the striker we signed this week. Who's that? There you go. Drama. Let's do the roundup, guys. And I've got the right league table, I hope, this week. I had a bit of a foul up. Well, SofaScore, I blame SofaScore. I had a bit of a foul up, and I didn't sort the league table by points, because who knows that that's the thing you need to do. So we'll put the league table up very briefly later, because it's a very good thing to read at the moment. But let's talk through the matches. And you guys obviously feel free to pick out something that you spotted or any interesting thoughts. Barnsley, Wycombe, like, these teams are so inconsistent at the moment, aren't they? And Seb, you and Ben,
I've had a shocker.
Predictions this week.
Yeah, an absolute mare. I mean, Wycombe had lost 3 on the bounce as well. and they just turned up, and it seemed quite comfortable.
Quality goals in this one, weren't there?
Yeah, the quality. The goals are really good quality. We watched the EFL highlights, didn't we?
Scored a big lob, wasn't it?
Yeah, really good quality goals, and yeah, I've had an absolute Mary. I'm not looking forward to you bringing up that table on Friday night. I'll be honest.
Bolton 0, Sheffield Wednesday 2. The Sheffield
Big
Wednesday
result.
Fixtures, blimey, and Bolton have had some toughies as well. But did anyone see that one coming?
That's a big result.
I'd backed Bolton. They seemed like a sort of really getting it together. They sort of since I don't think they'd conceded since we'd scored against them on the open day, or almost. Their defence had been really good, and then all of a sudden Sheffield Wednesday. But then Sheffield Wednesday are a side packed with quality, and when you look at the division and the sort of the biggest clubs, the biggest spenders, I think us and Sheffield Wednesday are quite a long way ahead of everyone else. So if they get it right, they are gonna win games, aren't they? And they seem to get it right. Their 2 first half goals, and that's sort of over, really, wasn't it?
A little bit of dysfunction from Bolton's back line, a long old back pass that I think it's Santos, isn't it? And catches out Trafford and stuff. But no one really called that one. And a lot of people, after we played Burton and made them look pretty good, were big on them. And Port Vale rock up and had a crap start to the season and win 2-0. Burton back to where they were maybe before the week they played us. Charlton 1, Cambridge 1. Goal for Scott Fraser. You can still find him.
But Charlton had smashed someone at home in the midweek.
Yeah, 5-1 in the week. It's weird, isn't it?
And then you think, they're going to be a strong home team, and then Cambridge are a side that are capable of playing very well against the best teams in the league, aren't they?
Yeah, and Exeter pumped Cheltenham 7-0 in the League Cup a few weeks ago, and turn up and Cheltenham beat them at home, and Exeter had a pretty decent start, didn't they? So weird. Fleetwood, how many shots did Derby have at Fleetwood, Seb? Can you remember?
I can't remember. It was high.
27, isn't it?
Yeah,
27.
In the 20s. Yeah.
And how many shots they have against Shrewsbury? Some guy was telling us that when we were walking in, wasn't he?
It was over 20 again, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think
it was something ridiculous. And I don't know if these are long ranges or not, but Derby, 2 0-0s in a row for Derby. Forest Green, we saw them close up a few weeks ago, Seb, and we thought they'd be all right, but they haven't won since the opening day. And Plymouth have pumped them, and we were talking about Plymouth being.
I said Plymouth would crap away from home, so it shows my level of knowledge. Yeah, I thought Plymouth would. I think I put it down as a draw, but I said Plymouth were useless away from home, and they turned up and won that one. So yeah, the league's crazy, like you say, weird. It's the best way to describe it. No logic.
MK. Was it 2 wins in a row or no? It was them. They beat someone midweek, didn't they? Johnson scored twice, didn't he? Bradley Johnson scored twice. Only got a point at home to Accrington, which I guess we were disappointed. Oxford and Morecambe, another point. I think probably we'd expect Oxford to win that one, but
I think Oxford are a team that are looking really. When you look at the sort of top 12 last year, how far ahead they were of the sort of bottom 12, and Oxford are a team that will get there, but they're similar to us in a way. When we were under McCarthy in the Championship, they signed a lot of players with maybe checkered injury histories, which allows them to sort of punch outside their weight and bring players that they wouldn't otherwise sign. People like Jacob Murphy, Yannick Wiltshire.
Oh, hello.
Both of them have injured and are out for quite long-term injuries, and they've just not had a lot of luck with it. And it looks like a season where they're just going to have to get through the year, regroup, and go again next year. And it's quite early to be saying that, but it looks like that's what it's going to be for Oxford this year. They just don't look right.
And we need to pay massive credit to Benjamin. I need to pay massive credit to Benjamin Bloom, predicting exactly right. Peterborough 4, Lincoln 0, and Seb, it's the usual suspects scoring the goals, isn't it?
Johnson, Clark, Harrison, Marriott, gone back
Jack
to scoring.
M&M Marriott.
Over 3 goals a game, and they're going to be right up there. Don't we play them? Is it the penultimate game of the season, or it's certainly in the last few games? Back in April, down in April, isn't it? That's going to be that could well be a promotion shootout come the end of the season. Yeah, they got back on track. Obviously, they lost recently, didn't they? They're back on track now, and with the firepower they've got, they're going to just take teams to the cleaners, I reckon.
I need to pause very briefly. Do you want to talk to us about Jack M&M Marriott, Joe? And is that something do I want to ask this question, or should I move on?
Did you not see his hairstyle?
It's his hair.
It's like
is it the yellow M&M?
Yeah.
Okay, not Slim Shady or anything like that. Okay.
No.
There you go. Yeah. Watch the EFL highlights if you can see Marriott's haircut.
If you want an old 20-year-old reference for somebody with bleached hair.
Hello. Yeah. That's what we're good for here. We quoted Office every other week. That's something like 20 years old, isn't it? So, finishing us off, Pompey 3, Bristol Rovers 1. Pompey, little bit of a worry. They're doing quite well, aren't they? And goals for Pigott, Seb.
Yeah, they started really well, haven't they? Piggott scored a penalty, and he was involved in the build-up play for the third. And yeah, I kind of thought I didn't think they would finish in the playoffs this year. I thought they'd be, challenging for 6th or whatever. But they've started really well. Top scorers in the division, aren't they? Is it 12 goals? Top scorers in the in the league so far. So it's been a really, really good start for them. But nice to see Piggott get a goal as well. Pleased for him to get off the mark in the league. I know he scored in the cup, but it's important to get off in the league. And he looked a bit involved. And yeah, with Colby Bishop and Scarlett and Piggott, I guess they're going to threaten, and they might be more of a problem than I thought they were going to be in pre-season.
They're a basic 4-4-2 team. Joey Barton said in the post-match that they're playing a basic 4-4-2, and while they might get some results, it's not going to get them where they want to go.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see you at the end of the season, Joey. Yeah. Goodness me. Well, yeah, I mean, Bristol Rovers had a fairly decent start as well, so that's quite a good result for Pompey. Let's have a look at the league table. Oh, it's very small, isn't it? What does that say? Ipswich first, is it? Oh, goodness me.
There's a lot of green up there, isn't there?
There's a lot of green there, isn't there? Goodness me. I'll take that down straight away because I can hardly see it. But yeah, we're top of the league, guys. Do you want to say it? We haven't really
said it. Enjoy it. Look,
we're top of the league.
Yeah, top of the league. It's a great position to be in. It feels very different to the first 2 years back down here where we had similar kind of starts. And just enjoy it. And we'll, if we keep doing what we're doing at the moment, there's no reason we're not going to be out there because we're playing so well. We are purring at the moment, aren't we?
If you can't enjoy being top of the league, even if it's August, there's no point in being a fan, is there?
Oh,
nothing's handed out in August. We're not saying we're going to win the league here, but we should be. We should be in the top 2. There's no real excuse to drop down there. I say if you get 86, 87 points and you end up 3rd or 4th, you're unlucky. But we can't be accepting 77 points and scraping 6th. We've got to be pushing for the title, and we've started as we mean to go on. I think after that opening day draw, everyone would have taken 4 wins in a row, 3 clean sheets in a row. There's a lot of players in the squad getting minutes. We have a sort of we've had 3 away games in that 5 games, and when you look at the season, there's certain bits which will define seasons, and you have a few of these 3-game weeks during the season, and if you pick up 9 points in these 3-game weeks, you absolutely fly up the table, and we've done it on the very first opportunity we've had to do it. So
it's worth mentioning, Joe,
they're key.
We were sat here last week, weren't we? With was it you? It was me and Dave. Was it you? We were saying there's no reason why we shouldn't be getting max points this week. It feels very weird to say something like that and then it to actually come to fruition, isn't it? And I guess my ask of all of you, and you guys can answer this question here, but on the chat, maybe if you're like me, if you're kind of a glass half empty, if you've been hurt too many times by Ipswich and this bitter mistress, tell me how we get out of this psychological funk where we think everything is going to go wrong. I want to be able to enjoy it, but I'm not sure I can join in with Chance about when we get promotion.
Surely the performances you're watching with your own eyes.
I'm enjoying the games.
How different it is, though. It's got substance behind it. 3 years ago, we all had the famous Shrewsbury 3-0 game where Ben meets Dave in the concourse at halftime and says, "We're not very good. We were just reliant on players having a couple of better players in the rest of the league and getting us out of jail." This time it feels completely different. Joe said earlier, teams aren't having shots against us for 40, 50, 60 minutes. Where we've had we've had more clean sheets than we've conceded goals now since McKenna came in. It feels so different, and I think we can legitimately start to get excited because every single week, and we think. I mean, me and Ben discussed maybe a point wouldn't be a bad thing against Shrewsbury on the pre-match show, and we utterly dominated from the kickoff, and it just feels so different. And yeah, I know you're not going to get excited, but I'm starting to.
I'm enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. And maybe this is one for the chat. Maybe we need to do a bulk booking of some psych time. We need to speak to a therapist about how you can enjoy football and not worry about stuff. I'm an overthinker. I'm sure there'll be if there are fellow overthinkers out there, let yourself be known, and we'll do therapy together. We'll sort it out. Before we jump into the comments, there's still time to get stuff in there, and worth just adding as well. Thank you very much to David, who has kindly given us a super sticker on the YouTube. Thank you very much, David. Appreciate your continuing support of the podcast. We really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. If you want to do likewise, there are options to do that within YouTube. And if you are watching or listening to the podcast later, other options to do that. Blue Monday, ITFC.co.uk as well, where you can all the details there. But David, thank you once again for your support. Thank you so much, and hope everyone else is enjoying it as well. Let me briefly talk about ITFC women before we go into the questions from folk. A 3-0 defeat.
The mood down.
Yeah, sorry. There you go. Here's the Grinch. I mean, mitigating circumstances for ITFC women today. A couple of really serious injuries partway through the first half. Having started really strongly, really bright, positive attacking football, a lot of pace down the wings. Could have taken the lead. And then a really serious ankle injury, it seems, to Zoe Barrett, and then Kyra Robertson gets involved. And these are kind of 50-50, robust but fair challenges. But both players had to be withdrawn and replaced. And both have now gone off to hospital as well. So really serious injuries. And that, this is quite a young team still. We forget that they've been around quite a while and successful since the cup runs against Man City and so on. But still quite a young team. And the players coming in, the substitutes very young as well, a debutant today as well. And Pompey just a little bit more professional and what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit more physical. That was certainly their approach, and hits on the counter and scored a few goals at the right time, and then heads dropped. So a disappointing start to the season. A good number of people there, 520 odd at the AGL Arena there as well. But time for the team to bounce back straight away. Gillingham at home next week. Do get down there for that one and give the girls your support. But yeah, obviously a frustrating afternoon, and having made the journey back from North Wales, is it, Seb? Wherever you are, yeah, Wales. It was disappointing to have that 4.5 hour drive end with a defeat, but there is still plenty of time. The season is very early doors, so that's ITFC Women. We're all up to date. Let's see what we can dig out from the comments. A lot of people saying hello, which is great. A lot of people liking Kieran McKenna's. Oh, hello, who's this? David Diamond. Evening, chaps. Watching from deepest Norfolk. 6 points as predicted last Sunday. There you go. Certainly better than my one game. Yeah, he's let you down a little bit on the odd predictions, hasn't he? EJ is starting to believe, if we're talking about psychology, which is good. A lot of people happy with McKenna. Here's Oliver. I know these are quite old, so keep them coming. We'll go through as many as we can. Love how McKenna is getting good performances out of whoever he plays. Burgess may still be not a traditional McKenna player, but he's using him and he did well. KVY the same. Thoughts on that one, Joe? I mean, a good coach gets the best out of everyone, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he finds a way to hide their weaknesses and sort of show off their strengths. And
yep.
I think, I don't know, it felt Burgess was in the team just to sort of cover sort of Edmondson needing a rest more than anything yesterday, because it wasn't a sort of game where you thought we need a guy that can win his headers, and he didn't really have a huge amount to do, did he? I thought he was sort of noticeable.
Udo didn't really get in the game, did he, Seb?
No.
Not at all.
I thought it was noticeable how much quicker he moved the ball compared to sort of recent games. He was maybe more comfortable, maybe players around him wanting the ball off him a bit quicker. But I thought he noticeably moved the ball a lot quicker, which is sort of normally my bigger criticism of him. No, involved in the second goal, wasn't he? And didn't put a foot wrong defensively.
He had a couple of big switches, didn't he, on that left foot out to the right-hand side where Vincent Young was making a run. He did that a few times, and that was quite a potent kind of weapon that he used here and there. So, yeah, like Joe said, just, cover for Edmondson, not really needed given that Odu did nothing kind of physical all game. But no, I thought he did all right.
And then they brought on Bowman as well. He's big physical striker as well, but he's returning from injury, wasn't he? So Burgess is a first goal scorer bet waiting to happen for someone, I'm sure, from a corner. That will happen at some point, I'm sure. So when the fun stops, stop. Someone mentioned Leif Davis, and now I can't find the comment. Does anyone want to talk any more about Leif Davis? We've done that, I think, a little bit, Seb, but
just superb. Just superb yesterday. He's really growing into that role. Not the best of debuts against Bolton, but obviously he's been, he was in Australia 4 days previously, etc. So yeah, yesterday he was brilliant. Really, really got in behind and loads down the left-hand side in the second half. Not so much the first half, but the second half. And yeah, you can tell he's come from a higher level. His passing is crisp and with purpose, and he whips a good ball in. And he's a really good player, getting better and better, just like Carl says there.
Nick asks a question here. I'm going to kind of rephrase it because he's not here. Maybe he's watching, and we can channel all David Diamond over the internet. Nick's asked, was Shrewsbury better last season, or I'll add the second bit, or were Ipswich better? What would you say, guys?
We're definitely better, aren't we? Definitely a lot better. We're a lot more balanced with what we're trying to do with, and sort of having to be able to attack on both sides like we have, which wasn't really the case last year. But like I say, Shrewsbury are a decent side. They just sounded like they sort of ran out of puff a bit yesterday, and they sort of went behind, and knew they weren't going to get back into the game. They've only scored twice a season, but then they'd only conceded twice as well. And Steve Cottrell's a good manager, good experienced manager, knows how to set a team up. He's sort of really overperformed since he's been at Shrewsbury from the start. And I know he's had his sort of COVID issue, but he's done a really good job there. And to go there and comfortably beat one of his teams is a big sort of feather in our cap. And we did that, but like I said, there was the mitigating circumstances that they had 11 players that played 95 minutes against Derby midweek. We were able to take players off against Burton, change 5 of them, change 5 again yesterday to get it moving. But no, it's I don't think they're any worse. I just think we're a lot better, and we've now got that sort of people know that we're just not going to concede chances. When you go behind, it's going to be very, very difficult to get back in the game. And not just that, when you try and push on, we can hurt you a lot more now.
Steve Cottrell's assessment on us and the game yesterday was very succinct and very good. I recommend watching that. Let me re-ask the question, and I'll let Seb have a go at getting the right answer. It's probably me asking the question wrong. Were Shrewsbury worse than last season, or were we better than last season, Seb?
To appease everybody, it's a bit of both.
Thank you. That's all I needed. Let's move on. Gary's noticed something. Do you notice that on both Tuesday and on Saturday, we attacked our own fans in the second half? Is that a coincidence, guys, or is that a construct of usually the hardcore support is behind the goal, and therefore isn't it more that the home team wants to shoot towards their hardcore fans in the second half less than something about us? I think Gary's kind of mentioned winning an exceeding high amount of coin tosses. Is there anything in that?
Did we change ends?
No,
because unless we change ends, then
no,
we haven't tried.
I think that's generally standard, Gary. But it's an interesting observation, nevertheless. I always hate it as a North Stand season ticket holder when teams flip us the wrong way around. So
I don't know why more teams don't flip teams around. Like when you go and play Liverpool at Anfield, why don't you just flip them around so they don't play in front of the cot the second half? But it seems like it just doesn't ever really happen.
Yeah. Maybe it's a gentleman's agreement thing. I'm not sure, but it does feel like a big missed opportunity to. 46 minutes isn't to shithouse someone. I can say that. A lot of people talking about the Tyrese John Jules stuff continues. We obviously put some of those comments up. Your thoughts here? Fonzie. Ladapo lacks belief. Would you agree with that point, Seb?
Well, we had the one against MK, didn't we? He ran in, he created it himself, ran in on his left foot and got a shot off without really any conviction. And same again when he had the chance late on against on the weekend against Shrewsbury. I just think that John Jules, I think he deserves to keep his place after the performance. You can't drop him after that kind of performance. Ladapo will score goals, and he is crucial to the way we play. I think he might have to be a bit patient for a few games now.
Yeah. A lot of people now chatting about the Pizza Cup. Nick is back and talking about Pizza Cup. Good to try out some players. Charlie D's mentioned balling. Keogh need to slot in some point. You're talking about Ladapo in there as well. So what Northampton is next Tuesday? Sorry, week after next Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah.
What are you saying about that? And who's getting in there? It'd be great if Ball was fit, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, rotate, but even with the players that we'll be bringing in, we should be looking to, swat teams aside. Ball will come in, Lee will come in at left back. The players we will bring in should be comfortably good enough to give Northampton a pretty. It should be quite a comfortable night. We should win that one quite comfortably. I wouldn't look to play the first teamers in that competition till you're at the quarters or the semis if we were to get there. And even then, I wouldn't I wouldn't suddenly change it to the team that started against Shrewsbury. I might dip a few in depending on, who we're playing against, but very much use it as a chance to rotate and get minutes to players who deserve minutes. The likes of Jackson might well start, and those kind of players do deserve minutes. They've got to keep fit. They've got to, show, they've got to be rewarded for the good appearances off the bench and stuff. So I think I would definitely use it for some rotation, some heavy rotation.
Joe, as the custodian of the ITFC Academy Twitter account, is there anyone that you want to see get minutes from the younger, apart from rotation of the first team senior players? Anyone you want to see given Pizza Cup minutes?
Really Cameron Humphreys, isn't it? Who's going to be, because you can make 11 changes and you're still putting expensive senior players in there, really, aren't you? There's like I say, you look through the team, and obviously Indaba's now gone out on loan there, so he'd have been the other one, but the sort of back three, you can bring in Burgess, Vincent Young, and Keogh as a back three. You can put Edwards on the right side, Lee on the left side, Ball and Humphreys or Harper in the middle. Up front, it's Aluko, Ladapo. There's a team there already, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And we haven't mentioned Edwards. He came on yesterday, didn't he? And Saturday
Yes,
7.
yeah, John just put it in there, sort of Tawanda Chirera, who's
Yeah.
one who's scored goals for fun for the under-23s. He started off the season by scoring in the opener last week. They're really good goal as well, and nearly scored a carbon copy 5 minutes later after that as well. And I think there's interest from West Ham in him, as I've sort of seen noted, and he's a player that's we took the option up on his contract, and he's one that we need to maybe try and work out what we can get out of him and try and get him tied down to a deal. And I think that the only way we're going to do that is to try and start involving him in the first team. And if he's scoring goals like he does for the under-23s, you deserve a chance.
Did a little bit of your soul die seeing Liam Gibbs start for Norwich on Friday night, Joe?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's a mistake. The club's made a mistake there, and you just have to hope that the Tyrese Simpson isn't a mistake as well, because these are promising players, and the club our size cannot afford to keep getting it wrong on those players, because Liam Gibbs now is starting for what is, I know they're not at that point in the season, but they're a top-end Championship side. They will finish in the top 6, 7, 8, hopefully 7 or 8 rather than 6. But he's starting for them, and their fans are thinking he's great. He's playing a really important role for them, and this was a player that we couldn't even sort of give guarantees it'd be in our first team squad for what became a mid-table League One side last year, and he's now a top-end Championship team.
Yeah, and Simpson's off to Huddersfield as well. So failing upwards or not, maybe we're underestimating them, aren't we? Let's move it on. Stubbsy asked this one, Seb. Do you think any team that finishes above 10 and Sheffield Wednesday will be promoted?
I would think so. Yeah, surely, like Joe said earlier, with the budgets that we have and they have, we're going to be the top 2 or 3. I guess Peterborough, I think, will be the biggest threat to the two of us in terms of the automatic places. But yeah, if you finish ahead of us or Sheffield Wednesday, you've got to be thinking you've won the league, haven't you?
And continuing to test your optimism and your glass half fullness as compared to my emptiness, my empty soul. Chris Rand asks, dare I say, 3 winnable games coming up? Dan Connors, what's a good points total for the next 5 fixtures? Let me read you out the next 5, and you can give us your thoughts on those. We've got Barnsley, obviously, at the weekend.
Win.
And then, okay, we'll do them as we go. We'll ignore the Pizza Cup. Accrington away.
Win.
Cambridge at home.
Win.
Bristol Rovers home.
Win.
There you go.
And then you're into Sheffield Wednesday.
Sheffield Wednesday away.
Yeah.
Win.
So you win. You win those games, and then you set yourself up nicely for those 2 away trips back to back on weekends, don't you?
Well, like I say,
if you can
get 10 points every 5 games, then you'll get promoted. And we've got 3 home games in there. Well, you've got to be looking to win. You've got to be looking to win all your home games, don't you? And yeah, you might slip up there. You might drop points here. Accrington away is always a place we've struggled. So maybe that's one where you slip up a little bit there. But you just got to make sure when you slip up into a draw, not a defeat.
Yep. Good for you guys. I'm glad that you answered that question, not me. Michael, mate down under, transfer windows shut soon. Do you think any players may move on? Penny's surely got to go, isn't he?
There's a few, isn't it? I sort of put a team together earlier today, and when you look at the players that aren't even getting on the bench at the moment, and it's going to be, if everyone's fit, let me just try and find it. Oh god, this is great podcasting. But you're going to have Harper, Edwards, Humphreys, obviously Penny.
These players might want to go and play games.
Yeah, these players aren't even getting on the bench. There's sort of 7, 8 good senior players that aren't even going to be in the matchday squad. And that's, like I say, you just can't keep a squad that size happy, are you? You're going to need. I really think you're going to need to lose at least 3 of them. You're going to need to get 3 of them out of here, and who those 3 are maybe depends on where you get interest from. But we don't really want to carry too many players into the season, I think.
Well, agreed. Although the rotation and the subs rule is kind of working for us, but there are still kind of some players there that won't be getting involved, and it's only human for them to be a bit pissed off, isn't it? So, yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens there, and obviously, so hopefully some incomings, but maybe the pressure is off a little bit compared to maybe a couple of weeks ago. Robert's asking about the shirt behind Seb, and where it needs to tell us where Lake Balaton is, but it's your lighting, isn't it, Seb?
It's crap lighting. Yeah, it's the home shirt with rubbish lighting on it. Nothing fancy, I'm afraid. Nothing special. Somebody said it was like an Inter Milan shirt a few weeks ago. I think the lighting was slightly different, and it looked like it had stripes running down it, but it is merely the home shirt with some rubbish kitchen lighting.
Charlie's given me some really good advice here. Dwelling on the past will never lead to success. There's no way any player in that squad is saying, God, do you remember this time last year? Yeah. Maybe I need to speak to, is it Rob Fincher? Who's the yellow shoes guy? Who's Craig's mate? Maybe we need to get him on the pod, or maybe I need to do a one-to-one session with him because
you need to believe in hope, Richard.
I need to do a Ted Lasso, don't I?
Ted Lasso, believe.
Yeah. Believe in believe.
I'm gonna get a believe sign by me for the next show. That'll happen. Nick, I'm not gonna put that one up there. I know I feel you though. Don't worry about that. Oh, Christopher. Oh man, these comments. People are just laying traps everywhere. I'm Admiral Akbar. I'm not having this. What have we got here? Oh, here you go. A lot of respect for Shrewsbury for how respectful and complimentary they were. Yeah. Refreshing to hear a team and fan base be honest about us when we beat them. Too many teams do not do that, says John. And yeah, Salop cast. Our friends at Salop cast were very complimentary, weren't they, Seb?
Yeah, they were. So they thought they were playing the champions today. And we had a chat with a few people on the walk to the ground and the walk back afterwards. And they said, we played Derby on Tuesday night, but you were worlds ahead of them. They like to pass the ball around, but didn't really threaten. And they just said we looked so organised, so professional, so physical, so fit. And they were really, really complimentary. And they were, really, 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 really nice after the game, weren't they?
Yep. Although there was a little collection of people who were maybe not so nice about us. I'll finish off a few more. We will got a few things to plug. We'll then look ahead for the week and give you a heads up of all the bits and pieces we're doing. So if you want to shout out, if you want to give us a prediction for Barnsley as well, or if you want to give us a prediction for the points tally for the next 5, maximum of 15 available there, we want to hear that from you. I'll just do a little last few from the comments before I do some housekeeping bits. Adam, I've got to put this up because you posted it. He's watching from the bar, so don't be thinking about that, guys. Chris is happy with 10 points for the next 5 games. I mean, it's promotion form, isn't it? 2 points. Dan's provided me Kevin. Is it Kevin Mincher? Doesn't sound right, is it? Is it Mincher?
I think that is right.
Is it? Okay. We'll get him on. And Lake Balaton, hopefully my pronunciation is correct, is in Hungary. Thanks, Robert, for that.
We did know that because Robert is in the Telegram group and he was watching the game for Budapest, but I couldn't work out whether he was watching it from Budapest or Budapest.
Yeah, good stuff. And thank you to all the Telegram folks who are out there. We see you. We appreciate you. Whose turn is it to big up Telegram? Joe, tell us about how brilliant Telegram is.
Just join it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Get in there. We have a great chat in there. Great match day chat for those who couldn't get to all the away games like me yesterday. So it's just really good. Videos of the goals popping around there as well when they're going in for people screaming.
Linked to from Twitter, not posted directly.
Yeah, linked to from Twitter. Are we allowed to do iFollow, police are, encrypted chats?
Stop talking.
Muting fairs.
Well, Josh, you're off the fight last night. Take the mic off him.
Yeah. Lots of different, some unrest on the Telegram group. Yeah, 2 weeks on us, and then subscription thereafter. But a lot of folk have stuck around. We're really grateful for that, and we're really loving that and enjoying that, and hope you are too. Even if someone has to make sure that maintain some order and some admin in there. Worth mentioning as well, if you are watching this live and you want to support the pod, but want something in return, which is totally understandable, our free shipping promo code on the merch store ends tonight. So do get involved in that. And otherwise, if you just want some Blue Monday merch and don't mind paying for postage, that is always available to you there on the website. Blue Monday, ITFC.co.uk is where you need to go for that. Finally, we don't really do this kind of stuff, but so we'll kind of put this out there, and if you feel motivated to do it, if you enjoy what we do, then we'd appreciate this. The Football Content Awards, the FCAs, are coming around again, and we would be super grateful if folk wanted to nominate us for the best podcast for Football League, and we tweeted about it end of last week. If you go searching for our Twitter at Blue Monday, to see if you can find the details there. Otherwise, we'll retweet it there. But footballcontentawards.com/voting, you can find us there, and you can also support our friends at TWTD. You can support Ben and his content, maybe our mate Gab as well, and you can vote multiple times, I think. So why not give Kings of Anglia and Naked Footy a vote as well, or anyone else that you enjoy, Ipswich Town or EFL or anyone else related. But yeah, if you feel like you want to do that, we very much appreciate it. Thank you very much for anyone who's done that so far. I think I've done all the bits and pieces of business. Usual shows this week, hopefully a midweek Q&A coming up, but we'll be back for the pre-match. We mentioned Barnsley. We'll be doing that live on Friday night, and then Flagship back as usual on Sunday, 8 p.m. live. Do get involved in that. I think that's everything, guys, in terms of housekeeping. So let's look ahead to Barnsley, the James Norwood derby, and the return of Luke Thomas as well. Excited, Joe?
Yeah, great. I'm just looking forward to get back to Portman Road to see a top of the table side at Portman Road, and it be us for once.
Yep. Seb, you will be listening, I assume.
I'll be listening, from Budapest. Looking forward to that one. That'll be a decent. They're very inconsistent, so it should be a good game. We've got to deal with obviously the return of Mr. Norwood, but there's no reason we can't really finish the month off in scintillating style, get a win under our belts, and then what an amazing August it will have been.
It's not a big deal, is it, Norwood? It's like I say, he'll come.
He'll come on. I don't think he'll start. He'll come on, but I think we'll have to.
I think we've moved
some S-housery.
We've moved on a little bit as well, haven't we? So more of that on the pre-match, I think that'll do. We've done very well. Last chance for comments before we say goodbye. We've got some predictions. We've got a 1-1 from David, who's then gone for 10 points for the 15 games. We've got a 4-0 from Christopher. I've got a 2-0 from Stubbsy. Thank you, John, for supporting the Telegram group. Norwood to score, says Michael, and gets sent off. But we win 3-1. I think that'll be interesting, won't it? 4-2. Yeah, you got to go for the 4-2, haven't you? Against Barnsley, that good old prediction. David, I saw that. If you email Blue Monday at is it Blue Monday ITFC at gmail.com? Let me just double check that for you. We will send you a mug because we said we would do that anyway, and you've been very, very supportive of the pod. So if you email Blue Monday ITFC at gmail.com, I think that's the right one, or just tweet us. We'll find you and we'll make sure that happens. We'll get something posted out to you. Charlie, thank you for the vote. Happy birthday, Michael. Happy birthday. Can you say happy birthday to Michael, please, guys?
Is it his birthday today? Now? Because he's on the other side of the world.
Is it Australia? Is it Australia birthday or a UK birthday?
Do we need
Michael?
to wish him happy birthday tomorrow on the 22nd or the 21st? But happy birthday for whenever it is, Michael.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you, Michael, for joining us on your birthday. There you go. The comments are coming in. Good stuff as always. Joe, say goodbye.
Goodbye, guys.
Seb, say goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
And I'll see you next week. We're top of the league.